Not every interaction by a user generates a new page view. This is where event tracking in Google Analytics comes in handy. Event tracking lets you measure specific actions users are taking on your site. Almost any user interaction on your site can be tracked as an event. Some examples of events that you can track are click on the navigation of your site, button clicks, white paper download, video play, pause, complete, etc. So how do you track events? In order to track any action as an event, you need to add a small JavaScript code to the element, to the action that you want to track. If you're using Google Tag Manager, then you do not need to add JavaScript to every action, as it can be easily done within the Google Tag Manager interface. This JavaScript sends the event type hit to Google Analytics for tracking these events. The call looks like following. GA stands for the Google Analytics call, and then it's followed by several parameters that you're passing in. The first two parameters, send and event, stay the same for every call. Here you're telling, I'm sending an event type hit to Google Analytics. Then you have 4 more parameters that you can pass to this call: event category, event action, event label, and event value. Event category and event action are the required parameters. So those are the only 2 that you need. The other 2 are optional. You can pass in any string value to event category, event action, and event label, while the event value can only take in a number. As I mentioned before, in these parameters, you can pass in any values that you desire. However, in your measurement plan, you should clearly outline what events you are going to track on the site and what values you will pass for each of these parameters. Event category value allows you to categorize all these events into buckets. Action is an action that user takes within that category. Event labels can help you identify specific element that user took action on. An event value is a numeric value that you want to assign to that event. For example, if you're trying to track a video, in that case, your event category can be video, event action can be play when the user plays it, pause when the user pauses it, complete when the video completes. So there could be 3 different actions depending on the state that user is in. And then the label could be the name of that video that's playing. And for the value, you can pass in number of minutes of the video that was watched. Let's take an example. Here is a page that has a YouTube video embedded on it. As I play this video, it'll be tracked in Google Analytics as events. I am tracking interactions such as play, pause, stop, etc. In order to do this tracking, I have used Google Tag Manager, which makes it easy to track events. I'm going to quickly switch over to Google Tag Manager and show you how event tracking is done for this video. In Google Tag Manager, the first thing you need to do is make sure you have your variables enabled. Click on variables, and these YouTube variables are built-in variables. They should be listed here. If they are not, then go to configure and scroll down and select all these variables. These are the values that will be passed from YouTube to you, so you can see the provider status, URL, etc. Once you have these enabled, they will be available for you to use in your tags or triggers. So now let's go to tag and click on new. Let's give this tag a name. Choose anything that makes sense for you. Once you have the name, click in the middle and pick Google Analytics Universal Analytics. And then track type, instead of page view, click on this arrow and pick event. Now you have your options for category, action, label, etc. So for category, we are going to pick the name of the provider, which is YouTube in this case. So let's go ahead and click on this icon and go down and pick the video provider, which is the variable that we enabled earlier. So click on it Next, for the action, click on this icon and go down and pick video title. So now you got category action. And for label, let's pass in status of the video, which is stop, play, pause, percentage user has used so far, and the time that has lapsed. So we'll get three things in one label. Click on plus sign and let's scroll down and pick video status. Now we're going to put a dash in the middle. This is how you can separate different variable values. And this is just typing from your keyboard, and then click again. Now let's pick video percentage and do the same thing again, another dash, and this time let's put video current time. So we got three values in here. I'm not going to use any value here. I will leave non-interaction hit to false, which basically means whenever this event fires, we are counting that as a valid user interaction or a session interaction. In that case, if a user lands directly on this page, watches the video, and then leaves, then the session is not counted as the bounce session. However, if you pick true, in that case, if a session directly comes to this page, this is the first page and the only page they are looking at, interacts with the video, and then leaves, in that scenario, video interactions are counted as non-interaction. Non-interaction is equal to true. In that case, that will be counted as a bounce session. So I'm going to just leave it at false. Next, you pick the Google Analytics variable. So click on it and pick GAID. We already set that up. And if you are not aware of how this was done, then go back and watch the previous videos. That's all we need to do. Now, when do we want to fire is where we put the trigger. Our tag is done. So now let's go ahead and set up the trigger. I already have a YouTube trigger, but I'm going to show you how to actually create a trigger. So go ahead and click on it. And let's call this trigger YouTube trigger. Click in the middle and then scroll down and you see YouTube video. Click on it. Here you have the YouTube video trigger type. It's already capturing start, complete, and you also want to enable pause and progress. So that way you will have all this information. And then for the progress, you can decide what percentages you want to track, separated by comma. I do is 10, 25, 50, 75, and 100. You decide what makes sense for you. And you can check this box, add JavaScript API. This makes sure you have all these values coming across. So go ahead and click on it. And you can even pick whether it's on all videos or some videos. Once done, go ahead and save. Now you have everything ready. And once you publish it, it'll start to track all these events. Now I'm going to go back and finish the rest of the stuff. So let's see how this works. I'm going to go ahead and play it. And as I'm playing this video, all these events are getting fired and sent to Google Analytics. Now I'm going to go into Google Analytics and show you these events showing up in real-time reports. And then finally, I will show you where to find these reports for all your data. So go ahead and go to Google Analytics. Here I am in Google Analytics. And as you can see, there is one top active page currently. But what we are interested in knowing is how the events are getting fired. So go ahead and click on events. And here you can see the event category is YouTube. That's what I have set it up in my tracking. And then action is the name of the video. I also have labels that are attached to each action. In order to see the complete event reporting, click on behavior because it's part of the behavior report. And then you'll see events. Click on events and then click on top events. So here you can see your event category, YouTube. Clicking on that shows you the event action and all the metrics associated with that action. So you can see how many times this particular video was viewed and then what's the value. This is the value you can set when you are passing your event tracking, but I haven't set anything. In addition to the category and action, I'm also setting labels for me to know what actions people are taking. So in order to do that, click on event labels right here, and you can see all the events. So what I'm passing is how many minutes into the video and what percentage of the video was watched. For example, in this case, the video was paused after 16%, and that was 6 minutes of video. You decide what values you want to pass for category, action, label, etc. And if you're interested to know how I'm passing these values and tracking YouTube videos, that is beyond the scope of this lecture. If you're interested in learning how this is done, I highly encourage you to learn Google Tag Manager, because that makes event tracking very easy. Not only YouTube videos, etc., but you can track all sorts of events very easily using Google Tag Manager.